He is grim and loveless, but at birth he breathes power to strive and slay into a man's soul. What else shall men ask of the gods? Hello and welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe, and today's video is going to be a slight break from the usual Hyborian Age book club podcast, a lore video focused around a new series studying the various gods and cults of the Hyborian Age, starting with the most important god of them all, Krom. Krom is the head of the gods of the Cimmerian people. He is grim and loveless, as stated in The Queen of the Black Coast. It's also commented at one point that it was useless to call on Krom because he was a gloomy, savage god, and he hated weaklings, but he gave a man courage at birth and the will and might to kill his enemies, which, in the Cimmerian's mind, was all any god should be expected to do. That's from the Tower of the Elephant. As you can see, Krom's not exactly the kind of god you pray to for a million bucks and to have everything given to you on a platter. You must earn everything you want. Now, Krom is said to be watching from atop a mountain in dark clouds and with obscuring mists all about that part of the mountain, ready to pass down judgments on all and to throw down dooms upon men if they should invoke his name in vain. Now, he's said to approve of courage and tenacity, even if you're too frail to actually accomplish anything. So it seems it's the effort that counts. Let's say you're a Raceland Magier and you try and try and try, but you have a lot of physical limits and you do die young. Krom will approve because it's about will. It's about the tenacity in your soul, not about the abilities of your flesh, because you could be extremely strong but weak-willed, and Krom would judge you rather harshly. What is more is that it's believed that he is the cause of earthquakes, including the one that sank Atlantis, which is quite the accusation, as the Cimmerians, though they don't realize it, are descended from the Atlantean people. So they're basically saying they think he sunk their original homeland, if on an unconscious level. The main gift that Krom gives to the world is courage at men's birth. The courage to go out there and seize the day, Carpe Diem. It's noteworthy that he's the only god without a priesthood. He is invoked many a times by Conan in the canonical Howard stories. It's usually as a curse, with phrases such as Krom and his devils. So he's got a lot of devils serving him. What's also interesting is that he is a god of war, death, and honor. So you have to behave chivalrously, but not stupidly. So there's a lot of reason to believe that Conan, for example, would be the perfect and ideal worshipper of his. Though I might argue Conan tends to invoke Krom a little too often, because every couple of phrases are, "By Krom." Krom, though, is noteworthy for only having intervened once in Conan's life. And he did so unasked and saved a middle-aged Conan from a dishonorable death, with Conan presumably being saved for a more honorable one. That's what some presume, but who knows? Krom keeps his reasons to himself. And Conan has not given a sacrifice to Krom since boyhood, doing it secretively. And what's interesting about this is that it seems that's a boy's rite of passage to give Krom a sacrifice. That said, it's probably something that you're not supposed to do again. So it seems to be a religion based around the idea that you don't do overt displays of worship. You do them privately and sparingly. And to do it in any other way is seen as disrespectful to Krom. There's a lot of influence here from American cultural values, in that the idea is freedom above everything else. Give me liberty or give me death. That's a popular phrase in America. Krom would probably subscribe to that belief. He doesn't give his followers much, but he does give them freedom, courage. And the freedom that he gives is freedom from having to worship him incessantly and lay down decrees and commandments upon his people. They must simply behave themselves honorably and strive to be all that they can be. And they must succeed or fail on their own merit. But success for him means having accomplished a great deal and at least having thrown everything you had into what you are passionate about. It's hard to not see something beautiful in Krom, but at the same time, it's hard not to see the ugliness and the savagery and barbarousness. But to an extent, in the words of Marcus Aurelius, we should not hate what is part of nature. I'm paraphrasing there. But the thing about Krom is he is, in a lot of ways, a very nature-based deity. And there is something natural about his barbarism, so that can we really say he is an evil god? He does not seem to be good or evil, but beyond human understanding. Krom does not conform himself to human values, but appears to expect his followers to kind of conform to his based around honor, liberty, and, of course, battle, with the greatest form of worship, it seems, to be battle itself. And that, now the 1982 movie is not entirely popular with all purists. I rather love it, and the idea of the riddle of steel, though not mentioned in Howard's stories, does flow pretty well with book references, and the idea that when one dies, one will be asked by Krom the riddle of steel, and that if he does not know the answer, Krom will mock him and cast him away to wander for all eternity as a spirit that cannot interfere but must suffer continuously throughout all eternity, seems to fit with Krom. He does not seem to be a merciful god or a kindly one, but he does give courage, and he expects one to comport oneself with courage. So if you enjoyed this video, stay tuned for the next video, which will be a continuation to the Hyborian Age podcast. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button, as though you are Conan smashing the enemies of Krom into itty-bitty pieces.